It's 6:10 somewhere in the world, and we're actually on time today.
It was funny. We actually had 10 minutes to kill, which is like weird,
Well,
but it helps.
that's probably because my contract ended and I don't have other stuff to do. Well, I do have other stuff
Hey,
to
happy Friday, Nick. Nick is about to have a birthday here in a couple of days.
do. Birthday boy.
He's he's going to be gray before you know it. Before he knows it.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be bald too. You have to join the bald club with us.
Another Faz Friday. He
I'm
sounds
telling
really
you,
excited.
we need to what we need to do is we have to go back and count the shows and go back to show 1 and come up to and like get a clip of that I'm gonna run it through the AI and I'm gonna get a bunch of shorts from that first show and we'll do that for the first video show and some audio clips from the first audio show. It's got to be coming up on 3 years now.
May of 3 years ago, basically.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was probably 3 years ago, and holy crap, the stuff we've gone over during all this. Yes, Shanrat, happy BTC Having Day. Happened, I guess, what, about 2 hours ago? Block 84,000 or something like that, I think it was.
Nothing's going up very high today. Maybe it's priced in.
No. It takes a little bit. It'll take, 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Minutes. It depends. That's all I can say. You could say it going up to 63,000 was it being priced in a little bit earlier.
Okie dokie. So with our sound check, Faz, it's recommended I go down a little bit and you come up a little bit. So I'm going to go down and you need to go up a little bit.
How about you go down, because my my sound is done automatically via StreamYard. So if you went down a little bit, that'd probably be fine.
All right. So let me go down a little bit.
I could just get closer to the microphone.
Let me try this, and then let me go to StreamYard and pull up my audio, and let's go down to here. All right, so I came down quite a bit. Nick says both sounds good to him.
What age do y'all commit to shaving your heads? Me, in the last year, actually. I had long hair up until, April of last year.
Yeah, Faz had like shoulder length hair. Okay, so our sound test is perfect now as well from our second source. So we got to keep these volumes.
All right. Well, like I said, mine's automatic, so we'll just have to see. All right. So we want to talk about the blockchain world, like gaming and stuff. Is that right? Or we have some subjects here. One, we're going to be talking about a new Discord that's out, responding to some recent gaming news. And then you had some questions and I had some demos about games on the blockchain. And then something about Gala nodes. All workloads being deleted instead of founders. Let's start with that one. Gala nodes.
Yeah, so I've noticed on Twitter and in some of the Discords lately, people have been shutting off workloads for everything except founders nodes. And I'm wondering, there's two things that I'm hearing. Number one, that especially the film nodes are just chewing up bandwidth like there's no tomorrow. People who have like Contabo or some of the online platforms where they're hosting their nodes, they're getting charged ridiculous amounts of money because they're spinning everything up pretty fast and the bandwidth is going through the roof. But the one that I just bumped into on Twitter while we were in the green room, it was somebody complaining, and they said they took their everything except their founders nodes, and he says, I have 5 music and 1 film, and he goes, there's nothing happening except them charging me for wanting me to buy things, but there's no engagement. There's nothing for them to do on the platforms. It's just selling stuff that is doing nothing.
So you're saying music? They're not.
Well, according to just that source that I just looked
According to some tweet out there.
Yeah. So let me see if I can go back and find it. Hang on.
I just want to make it clear that it's just some tweet that you're going off of, and not some sort of thing that we've heard from people. People we know.
Was it? I think that was his name. Let's see. Yeah, hang on. I think it's this guy. Let me see.
In the meantime, I see that Elon Musk says any accounts doing engagement farming will be suspended and traced to source. Does that mean the Gala Games bots, Twitter bots, will stop tweeting?
Twitting?
Twitting.
All right, let me see here. There it is.
Stop Xing.
Share.
He's going to share something, folks.
All right. Titan, add to stage. Okay, so Dave Louis. Dave Lou. I don't know how you pronounce it.
Dave Louis?
Yeah, but this is the latest. And I've seen this in Discord. I've seen this in other tweets as well. He says the Linux nodes are finally updated. All workloads deleted except one. Founders, Gala head who still wishes film and music wasn't a thing. And someone asked him, why would you stop running workloads if you have the licenses? He said, because I don't care. I bought 5 music licenses to resell later. I only have 1 film node. There's nothing to do there. I want to support the network. I don't want a job and need to buy music to host. And if you follow that thread down, it goes quite a bit deeper into that. And so people are tired of just being sold things and then nothing to do on platform. And they're starting to pull their workloads off, not only because it's costing them a couple $100 in bandwidth fees, but if it was doing something, apparently they might not be so upset about it, but they're not getting rewards. Someone posted a thread somewhere of their music node rewards lately, and it was like ridiculous. I mean, it was like 20 tokens or something like that and they spent, $4,000 on music, and they got like 20 music tokens. That's a grand total of like 22 cents. I mean, it's like, it's just not working real well.
Well, let's see what's running on mine. I have film node running, founders node running, Spider Tanks, Townstar. So my nodes are running. I think that's Dave Louis saying that he's turned off all the others except for founders, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. His name was Captain Nero, huh?
Oh, is that Nero?
What? What's this about, people?
Well, if you would read the Discord you're supposed to be reading.
Oh, I'm supposed to be. It's my homework.
Yeah, again, yes. I can't constantly keep you updated on everything. There's just too absolutely too much. I don't know who's who anymore either. So we're gonna get into that. There's a new Discord that was spun up, and we'll be talking a little about that.
Well, why don't you talk about it now then?
Yeah, in the wake of last week's news about Mirandus, the news came out this week that Mirandus Master himself has decided to leave Gala as well. And in the meantime, a lot of the devs from the Mirandus team have come together and are talking about gaming. And they've created a Discord where all the fans of Mirandus can go. I've linked it down in the description down below. I've created an invite for Mirandus fans, and they want to make Mirandus great again.
So they want to get the band together? Is that what you should get the band back together?
They want to get the band back together and come up with something that that they believe can be very successful.
So they're not planning to make a Mirandus 2, are they?
You'll have to read about that. There's discussions going on. Nothing's set in stone yet. The developers, there's at least one in there that I know. Again, there's so many names. It's like ridiculous. It's flooded with people, but there's a lot of Miranda's people, fans, developers, and more in that Discord. And they're discussing ways that they can spin up something that is as close to the original vision of Miranda's back in the day as possible.
Well, okay, so I believe the original vision was to do a medieval kind of MMO in a very, very specific style, like Japanese paper folding style kind of thing.
So here's the thing, right? So perhaps, and I'm not trying to be sneaky and allude to anything here. I'm just guessing because I've followed. There's so many messages going on in there. I was telling Faz before this. From one night to the next morning, there was 426 messages for me to read just overnight. So people are really excited about this. Now, this is pure speculation, right? Again, no insider information here. But I would imagine that they're gonna want to not like call it Corandus and have it the same thing. I would imagine there's probably some IP that can't be stepped on there.
Was there something that they were saying about doing something for people who had Miranda's NFTs?
That could be, because again, there's that. You'd have to look and see how much of the IP you can test in the courts, right? Because I would imagine like the artwork and stuff is probably, I'm guessing, protected by IP. But using the NFT itself, I mean, who knows, right? That's something that they promised at one point, that it would be interoperable with other games.
Okay, so let's make something clear about NFTs in general. Whoever issues the NFT has nothing to say about what somebody can do with that NFT. They can only say what they will support with that NFT, because as they all say, it's your property. Just like Star Wars action figures are your property. Hasbro can't tell you what to do, what not to do with them. So,
but you can't make money off of them, and if they create a game that generates revenue,
wait, why? Okay, that sounds like a different subject. You could make money off of pimping out your Star Wars action figures. You could do the same thing with NFTs. However, I think what you're getting at is play to earn kind of stuff with anybody's NFTs. That would be you using those things as a security, or somebody enabling you or whatever.
All right. So what you're saying, that the point you're trying to make, you're going to backtrack on in about 3 seconds. So if I take your bugs and I market with them and I make money off of that, you're not going to be upset?
So depends what you mean by
here we go.
marketing.
See, the backtrack starts. Here we go.
You keep that narrative going. Yeah, you keep that narrative going. That way, if you never recognize reality, you can do that all you want. It depends. So does that mean that you get to use the Miranda's pictures in your games or the Miranda stuff? No, that's copyrighted. However, if you had an NFT that said a Miranda's tent, and you say, hey, for everybody who has a Miranda's tent, we'll let you have a race car in this race car game. You've just added value to that Miranda's tent. Of course, Gala Games isn't going to have a problem with that. Now, if you show that tent in game, or if it has some sort of trademark name, like, I don't know, Miranda's Exemplar or something, you might not want to do that. But you might say, hey, if you have one Miranda's Exemplar, you'll be able to have a dude in our game. So there's no backtracking, sir. So I know you're proud of yourself. You're muted. People can't hear you. Nobody can hear you because you're muted.
This is why I've been standing up on my chair and arguing with you about this whole NFT thing. You own nothing when you buy that NFT. You own a hash. You don't own the NFT that you think you own.
Again, it depends on what you think an NFT is. I think we agree on this. If you think an NFT is the image plus the hash, you're probably wrong. Just like I think if you start marketing with your Star Wars action figures, you get in trouble. Now, Nick here wants to know if he starts a company and uses Zipbug as a logo, would I sue him? Or more like, could I? Because I probably couldn't afford it. But if I had the money, I could, because I actually list on my NFT collections, all my NFT collections, that they're copyright Art Faz, which is my OpenSea account. So I've given you ample warning, but copyright laws actually protect me too. The moment you make any image, the moment you make anything, you draw it or compose it or whatever, copyright law protects you.
So isn't that the opposite point of decentralization?
No. Again, if you're talking about, Miranda's land as property, and somebody says, if you have Miranda's land, I will give you Zipbug land, that's fine. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. You just can't market that as, you're getting Miranda's land, or probably might not even be a good idea to, well, no, I think you probably could say Miranda's in your thing. If you happen to have Star Wars action figures, turn them in, let us burn them, and then you can do whatever with it. I don't think well, I'm sure you can get sued for anything, but I don't think. Now, where's Jesse here? Because Jesse should be popping up at any point and letting me know that
his ears are
take my
ringing,
legal advice.
Sure. So we Faz and I had a fantastic conversation last night, and that's what's led to this show. We see how it works is he's late for everything and disappears when he's working. But since his contract ended, he's got all the time in the world. And so we're back to yipping all the time. And so he was yipping last night about blockchain gaming. Okay. And how hard it is. And we've heard that from various sources over the years.
Software
about how
development
hard it is. And so I know we hate hearing Faz blather endlessly about stuff that makes us like drool and fall asleep. But he made a couple of really good points, and I call them whys behind the whys, right? So you find out the why behind the why. And we'll do this as succinctly as possible. But I thought this was really important tonight to talk about how difficult it is. Faz right now is in the process of developing a game. Well, more than one game, but he's starting slow, and you'll hear all about it.
Shouldn't I be telling this story?
Well, you will, but at the same, I'm just prefacing why we decided to go in here. So we ended up having this discussion. I'm giving him the why behind the why. Just all right. So, we got to talking about putting games on the blockchain. And he talked about how hard it is. And I ribbed him. I said, we've heard from people before that, blockchain gaming is hard, yada, yada, yada. Why is it hard? And I got an education from Faz on why it would be hard using a specific example. He brought up like a sword, and he talked to me like I was 5, which really helped. So I was hoping, I was hoping that that Faz
is not flat; it's round.
It's not. So we're Faz. If you could tell the viewers tonight that same story about the sword and all those angles that you told me, I think it would open a lot of people's eyes, especially since you're actually doing this right now.
Okay. Well, let me back up a little bit, because we want to make sure that this stays with blockchain gaming. So right now, there's a lot of people making games with the blockchain. My observation is that a lot of these games are trying to use blockchain as a database. The problem is blockchain is not a database. It's a ledger. Databases allow you to add records and delete records, and has quick updates and optimized for speed and stuff like that. You can have a blockchain that's optimized for speed, and but the problem is it's not going to allow you to delete records. And if you start developing a game that uses the blockchain as, I don't know, its database for all your game stuff, you're going to have to use it in a very specific way. You can't use it in the way other games might use a database, which is call up this asset, assign this asset to somebody, transfer this asset to somebody else, because that's a lot more work on a ledger like a blockchain than it is in a database. It's a different kind of work. And it's kind of funny that this hasn't come up sooner, that people are trying to use blockchains as a database. What you end up having to do is use blockchains as just an inventory or storage or something like that. I remember when Mirandus was first being talked about, they were talking about how you would keep track of your items. And they said, well, the blockchain doesn't allow you to, as soon as you grab a sword, we can save it. And then if you die, then we could take it away from you and put it on the ground and have somebody else take you. That's a lot harder. And I'll say practically harder. It's not physically, it's theoretically possible, but it's not practically a good idea. So they were talking about earlier
with the servers.
I'm getting there. So when so they were talking about when Mirandus first came out. Okay, when if you acquire an item and you want to save it, we'll put it on the blockchain, but you need to go to this special place called a vault or something to store your stuff, or you can have a treasure chest inside of your own house or something like this to store this data. And if it's in the vault, it can be on the blockchain and all that. Okay, that makes sense because you can go in, you can make a transaction to save things to the database. To the blockchain, not the database. What you and me were talking about was related to that, but that's how we started. We're talking about how do you get 1,000 players or any number of players to play a game like Mirandus all at once. And that's easier said than done. So you can't have 1 million players on a single server unless you have just phenomenal bandwidth and phenomenal connections and phenomenal servers and everything else, and phenomenal code that runs those servers. You have to split it up into several different servers. And if you're splitting things and people up into several different servers, then you might have you on one server and me on another. And so if I'm running through the forest, killing things and things are fighting things and stuff like that, and I find something like a big sword, well, first of all, I'm not going to see you in this world. I'd like to be able to see you in this world if you're on a different server, but it's not practically possible. Well, it is possible, but it's difficult. And so if I get killed and I have this wonderfully large sword, a wonderfully nice, cool sword, and I drop it, if you're on a different server, you might not see it. You might not see it because you're on a different server. You can't see you can't see me. I can't see you. That means only like the 10 people that are on the server with me might be able to see that sword once it drops. Now, maybe we decide that we want to make sure that this sword, if I drop it, can be seen on every server. And we somehow synchronize all these servers together. And so you do see the sword that I drop. Well, you don't see all the other people around the sword. And so if there's 30 servers, each with 10 people, and they're all running toward the sword and one picks them up, you might not see that person. You'll just be running toward the sword and the sword will disappear. That's because somebody from a different server picked it up. Now, Star Citizen actually was trying, and I don't know if they succeeded because I got out of following them years ago. They were trying to make it so that multiple servers could all share this information, people information and stuff information. And my understanding is they just said, well, you're just going to have to be on one server or another. So I'm very curious if Mirandus, if they ever solved that problem in Mirandus, or how they plan to go about changing or working with that. But it kind of doesn't matter because the whole Mirandus team is gone now, and we have the team in Chile that will be solving that problem. But from my prediction from last show is they're not going to solve the problem. They're just going to tidy up what's there and then put out the game. So as far as the Miranda's team got, we will see as far as, having all these different servers, people on different servers, and what becomes of items that you drop on individual servers. Anyway, you could use the blockchain, and then everybody can go look at the blockchain. Oh, Faz dropped his sword right here. Okay, we can all get the sword. But again, you still have the same problem. We can't see each other. And besides that, the blockchain just isn't good at storing data, or not storing data, acting as a database. So there's a lot of interesting challenges with gaming that you have that I don't know if they have been solved. Somebody please correct me, and I'm not a game developer, not really. So I'd like to know if that problem has been solved or even approached yet.
Well, and that gave me the epiphany as well, because the whole thing around Galachain was the speed, and I related it back to that. You want, if you're going to do a blockchain game, you have to have a blockchain that would be ridiculously fast at reading and writing new data to it to show, for example, when somebody picked up that sword. And if all the servers are pointing to that blockchain, everything has to take place like ridiculously fast. So the concept of what Galachain was, I think, is probably pretty closely related to what you just described.
Now you might say, hey, when I go on Twitter, I can see everything that everybody says all at once. If I do a tweet, I'll eventually see a tweet that you make, and all the billions of people in the world can do tweets, and everybody else can see them. Well, first of all, that's not live. There's something called eventual consistency, where everybody puts in a request to have the tweet go out. Eventually, it starts getting around to all these other servers that Twitter might have. You can't exactly have eventual consistency with a game unless it's really, 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 really fast. And so ideally, if you're playing Miranda's, you want to see everybody all the time wherever they are. If somebody slays the Minotaur King, everybody would know about it, because everybody would see the fight happening, and everybody would see the sword getting dropped. But that's a logistical challenge. I just don't understand how they could solve.
So that could be, I'm speculating here again, because we're not blockchain developers. I don't even know how to develop.
Well, that's more of a database server thing.
Maybe this is why they had the different worlds, or the different maps, if you want to call it that, because if you're in that particular world or in that particular map area, think back to TWDE, where you had all those sections. Remember, you had to cross the border. Perhaps you're going into...
You're talking about the Walking Dead empires, by the way.
Yeah. You're going into that next section. That's the server. That's how they tried to separate and write to blockchain on that particular server, right? So that could be why they went the direction they did. After we had this discussion, all this stuff started rattling around in my head. I'm like, okay, now that makes sense why they did that way.
And any game that has multiple players has to deal with this problem. And I would assume that some games have some really, really creative technical ways to include lots and lots of people all together in one place at the same time. It can be solved. MI says it could be solved better with centralized servers, but a decentralized node ecosystem of servers will make it tough to prevent cheating. What's that refer to? Is he referring to his prior comment here?
Yeah, so
let's talk about cheating in race conditions.
Yeah, in any game, whether it's Web 2 or Web 3, you're going to have issues of people circumventing the prevention, right? Blockchain, I would imagine, when you do it correctly, it will at least allow traceability that's a little bit better. But that involves taking it to another step like KYC, which nobody wants to do, right? So you have to give a little to get a little. If you want to reduce cheating, you have to do the KYC route, and then that way the blockchain can be searched. You can see exactly what happened and hold people accountable. But do people really want that, or do you
Well,
just
I
want
don't
to be
think you
able to
need
go play a game?
KYC. You can
No, but
ban accounts.
what other, you can ban accounts, sure. But if for example someone steals somebody's stuff, you ban the account, they're not going to get that back. If it's written to blockchain, it's permanent. You can't get into their wallet and yank it out. You can just make them void.
And
And then
that's
what do? Issue new, brand new, the same thing.
that's a valid challenge. Or that's a valid
Yeah.
problem. It's well, here's the thing: if I steal your stuff, are you going to be able to make me give it back? I mean, I guess it's it's a different way of getting something back. But with a blockchain, it's pretty much that unless you have the keys to that wallet, you can't get it back. Well, there's ways
and
of
that,
saying if you cheated, then they could just invalidate your sword and issue another sword to the previous person.
right, but that falls into the person who shall not be named's big argument that was out for a long time about fungible versus non-fungible, and having unique IDs for every NFT, which a lot of gaming platforms did not do at the beginning. They were actually all fungible, so you could ban, the super cloak, but then everybody who had a super cloak got their shit taken away from them, and it's impossible to prevent without a unique identifier
Well,
for
no, you
each
can.
NFT.
You'd have to. Okay, so most likely, if we're talking about Gala games, you can have a fungible token on a blockchain, but then you've got to give additional information saying it's tied to this account in the Gala ecosystem, and so this account plus this token, you could then ban it from that account. And the hard part is if you start trying to trace that token back and forth between different players, now you're just implicating more accounts. It's like keeping track of money being sent back and forth. After a while, you can lose track, and they can go through mixers, and you can lose them.
Well, not only that, but you experienced that firsthand with your friend when you let her borrow that NFT and it got swiped. I mean, tracking that down, getting the proper one, disengaged from the system and everything, that was a giant monkey fuck from the word go.
Yep, it was. So speaking of blockchain gaming, actually, I'm putting together a game, a card game for the Zip Bugs. But before that, I need to learn how to do gaming. I'm a computer programmer, but I'm not a gaming programmer. So I made myself I'm making myself a small little tiny project beforehand, based on Flappy Bird, called Flappy Bug, and I'm using Unity. And I'm using Unity because it has C# for scripting, and it looks simple enough. I've been learning it for about the last 2 days, so I'm going to show my last 2 days of effort of putting together something. It is not done. It's just started. I've just put a bunch of things down there. I have little experiments going on in there. All the graphics aren't final. They're just stuff I stuck in there. But my goal is to be able to have a Flappy Bird game to where that you can earn NFTs. And my eventual goal is to be able to earn NFTs and be able to use, if you have a zip bug on that you purchased, then you'd be able to play this game. And I'm planning to sell them for close to nothing, so anybody can play the game. But the whole point is to be able to, possibly earn something from this game, and earn something, not meaning like a token, but more like an NFT. And these NFTs would be buffs for the game. That's my goal. And I say it's my goal because at any point, if I determine that something's going to be looked at by the SEC in the wrong way, then I'll have to change that. But I think as long as I have it associated with the game, doesn't have any sort of monetary value, I think that might work. Anyway, so that's my goal. And plus, I need to test all the technologies before getting my card game going. My card game is intended to be kind of like Magic the Gathering, where these bugs have rules on their cards, and they have you can play against another player. I'd like it to be multiplayer. So I need to test all the technologies before I get things going. So I'm going to show you a very, very, very rough 2-day version of what I've got.
This is bullshit. You've had 2 whole days to get this ready. Are you kidding me?
Okay, quiet. All right. So Flappy Bug. It's my Flappy Bug test project here. And I've already changed it. They're not stalactites and stalagmites anymore. I think I want them to be like asteroids or something. Not sure. But it's going to be
asteroids coming at your bug when you're... Oh, that would be cool.
But it's going to be very, very annoying. Very annoying, just like Flappy Bird. In fact, I want you to have earned any NFT that you earn from it, from this game eventually. You'll be able to connect your wallet, and then the goal is so that you can connect your wallet, and then you can play the game. And if you get to such and such a level, then maybe an NFT would get sent to your wallet. That's the goal. Until then, it'll just be an annoying game. Anyway, so pretty basic right now. I have a couple bugs here. One looks like he has some he has a transparency around him. Another one is just a square.
And now this isn't the game. This is you just inside the program that you're actually writing, right?
Yep. Well, this is what the game would look like. So
no, I understand, but this isn't anything you're releasing. This is what you're actually programming. This is what it looks like as you make a game.
Yep, I'm testing it. I'm just starting to throw some sample sprites down. Let's see, we have some scripts here for these bugs that I have. Let's see, you see that there?
Not yet. It's loaded. Studio. There it goes.
So it uses C# for its coding language right here, and you can make. Basically, it has little entry points where you can, where the game is updating. You can get the key presses. I'm just checking for the space bar right now. I want to have it to where when you hit something, you start spinning around. That's why you saw those guys spinning around there. I want to check to see if you hit things. So. Yeah, not a lot of code. Surprising the amount of tuning that you have to do with this. Oh, and by the way, if you look in the left-hand corner, you'll see a score increment as the bugs go through this these little pipes here. Let's see, 1, 2. I guess each bug increments it actually. So there you go. I plan to only have 1 bug. I'm testing out 2 different things at the same time. I noticed that. But this round bug, he's actually hitting things, and this square one, he's going through them. And so these are the kind of issues I'm trying to figure out right now. What's that? Sweet, look at you 2 days in. Yeah, that's because okay, so the bugs are made with AI, backgrounds made with AI. Actually, these pipe things are made. Those are a zip bug that I've stretched out to look like pipes. They're at different heights. Things aren't the way that I want them. And I noticed they're going through the pipes at a certain point. They're colliding. Well, the round one's colliding with the pipe, and the square one is not. I wouldn't have expected that. So these are the kind of problems I'm figuring out just 2 days in. Faz made a better game in 2 days. I do believe in the mantra, release early, release often. So I want to get this to a certain point. Like my goal is, I'd like to have a job again. So my goal is get this going in like a couple weeks, and then just slowly add on features. That's why I have this thing right here. This is my roadmap right there. See, version 0.2, have flap animation. I don't even know if I want that, but you need to collide with things.
Faz wants to see some flapping.
Yeah, I want to see some flapping. So I have a little roadmap here. Come up with some features. Walls can move or rotate. Have little zip monsters. I'd like them to start flying at you and just homing in on you and trying to get you.
Now that you said it, I want asteroids coming at you.
And power-ups. I'd like it to where you can have power-ups to go through these pipes. Well, that's good. My bugs are already going through the pipes. So once I figure out how to get stopped by the pipes, then I'll know how to.
Yeah. With the pipes like Mario, right? Certain pipes, you have to figure out which one you can go up to get power-ups. You can combine like 5 different games all in one, and then have Pac-Man chasing you.
Yep. So that's my version 3, where I'm actually going to connect to a Web3 wallet. I got to make sure I have a website with this running. And I have a strong feeling you're going to want to see this on a phone. So, but I think it also needs to be able to work without your bugs. So I think it was, if you don't have a zip bug of your own, you're going to have like some boring looking bug, and it's going to do boring things. It's not going to be, the game's going to be like 1,000 times harder. And then as you get, if you get a bug, you get a cooler one that's easier to maneuver.
That's
and then
like that marble game. Yeah.
Marble game.
I played the hell out. Oh my God. I played the hell out of this marble game on the PlayStation.
There you go.
You had a table. Yeah. There was a table that moved, and you had to take your marble, and the different marbles had different properties. So some were big and rolled slow. Others were fast and nimble. So yeah, I mean, the possibilities with this are endless. I thought this was pretty cool.
So you don't need a lot to make a game. Flappy Bird was a very interesting game, and it had very, very, very little features. You just didn't hit anything. Now, of course, I find that extremely annoying, would drive me nuts, and I want to be able to do additional things. But I like the fact that you just use a space bar, or if it's a phone, you're just using your finger. You can make some really complicated stuff from very simple beginnings. And this is going to be my practice for making the card game. And I have no idea how long it's going to take to make the card game. But I downloaded a template off of the Unity store so that I could have a head start. So I really just need to know how all this stuff works in Unity first. And so that's my goal. If I find a job in the meantime, then I'll just work on this slower. But yeah, I want to use those zip bugs that I have out there to make a annoying game that people actually like. No, you're muted, sir.
I think you're off to a really good start, and I think that the ideas are flowing. This is like from minute one, right? Because you were explaining to me that top zip bug, the one that wasn't transparent, had the green border on it, and you have to define what exactly that green border defines exactly what hits what, and I thought that was kind of cool.
Well, yeah, there's like bounding boxes inside where you could tell when they collide with something else. Yeah, so
right.
You have to set that. This guy actually has them too. What's his box look like? Oh, he's a bounding circle there. So he can overlap a little bit. His little antlers here in his feet, if they hit something, they won't register as a collision. But there's a lot of tedious stuff with games like this. And when you look at actually, doesn't Gala Games have Unity for some of its games? There's a lot of code and tuning in these things to do. And after 2 days, I'm finding that, I mean, you can plop something down and do something simple, but you better know what you're doing, and it's going to require a lot of testing. A lot of testing.
Well, that's really cool, though. I was impressed when you said you were going to start making a game. I kind of eye rolled pretty hard there.
Well, they're pretty easy now with some of the tools out there.
But I do think this is off to a great start, and I do think that keeping it simple and adding and continuing on that path is probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, and anybody can do this. By the way, Unity is free to use. Unity uses Visual Studio, which is also free to use. It's pretty darn easy to make these games, to get them started and do them for free. You just need time. Now, as far as connecting to wallets and stuff like that, yeah, you can. This .NET
it's
code.
Expensive.
It's expensive to connect to wallets.
Yeah, the code to get everything to connect is pretty expensive. I've looked into that previously when we were.
You mean
talking
you need
bugs.
to purchase code to connect to wallets? What do you mean?
To get it right, yeah. To get the code that's already written that does it, it's a little pricey.
No, I've connected to wallets with code last year, and it was pretty darn easy. Just a couple lines of code. I'm actually not too worried about that. I just want to connect to wallets to just make sure you have a bug in there, a zip bug in there.
Well,
I'm not wanting to put anything in or take anything out.
if people are going to be giving authorization to read wallets, you want secure code. I would get the paid version of that if I were you.
The paid version of what?
The code to connect wallets securely.
Well, yes, they're called APIs and they tend to be free. So
Well,
I
the
think you
ones I
might be
was
talking
looking at
about.
were not.
I think you might be talking about somebody might have made a library that makes that easy for you, which might be a good idea.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but when we were searching for that, it was probably a year ago. To get access to that stuff was pretty pricey.
All right. Anyway, yeah, like I said, this is 2 days worth of code. I just dropped some pictures in here. Bam, bam. Put pictures in here. Looked at a couple tutorials online. And actually, I'm not done with the tutorial. I just got about halfway through it before I had to do Faz Radio today. What's this here? If anyone's watching Rob on Digital Asset News, he bought the Flappy Bird IP and have team making a blockchain version of Flappy Bird.
There you go. You'll be right along with Rob on Digital Asset News. You'll be developing
This will be sufficiently different from Flappy Bird. There's another game called Badland that has the same motif where you press the space bar. Where you press the space bar to make all you do is you just make this little bug, and it's a bug flying through if you play Badland. Badland's awesome, but there's all sorts of complex mazes and things you got to push around and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. It's a neat idea. So this would be just something similar.
So also, by the way, these newer zip bugs you've got on how many chains now?
Oh, geez. I have zip bugs on AVAX and Ethereum, Matic, the Matic blockchain, Polygon. I have one or two on the Flow blockchain. And then, I did some Solana ones. So they're everywhere. Let's see if I can pull that up.
So isn't it funny now? Well, it's not funny, like laugh funny.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious.
Isn't it interesting that so many people now that the implosion kind of happened over at Gala, that everybody's starting to make games all of a sudden?
What do you mean?
So there's a lot of games. You have Timbo who's redoing the Fortitude. You have the Make Mirandus Great Again, who's going to come up with something like Mirandus. You have Flappy Bugs, you over here doing that. And there's a lot of people from the Gala ecosystem who are starting to do things. And you have Rustikip, who's doing a lot of the stuff to support all the creators. There's more creators creating. That's a better way to say it.
Well, there's a lot. The tools are starting to become available, and you could say that there's a little bit of a vacuum. But Gala Games is still making games. So this is what I don't get. People are talking about Gala Games going down. In one sense, they have a lot of games that they've offered that are there on the blockchain. So I'm having, well, I don't know if they're there on the blockchain, but they're out there being used, that you can buy and sell NFTs for. The thing about Gala Games is, can you earn with the stuff? That's why people went over there, because they wanted to play to earn. No, you can't earn with them. Are they doing games? Yes, they are. Do you need a wallet? Yes. Can you use NFTs? Yes. In one sense, they're doing exactly what they've said they were going to do.
Oh, I had to open the Pandora box. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I'm giving you a balanced response to that. People want to say,
balanced.
What's that?
You don't need to be balanced.
Oh, I don't need to be opinionated. I'd like to be balanced. Balance is my mantra.
No, but
if you're going to analyze something, if you're going to talk about something, you need to be fair about what's there. What Gala Games has not been able to deliver is play to earn. That's what people wanted. And people were looking forward to Mirandus because Mirandus was going to be providing play to earn. And if it was, they weren't going to get play to earn, they at least wanted to use their NFT land and stuff like that. I think they're going to be able to do that. I think they'll be able to play the game and use their land and collect materium and stuff like that. It might just not be play to earn. It just might be, well, you'll just get land in the game, which kind of sucks, because then how's it really anything different? A lot of people bought that stuff because they want to earn money off the land.
Yeah. I think creators are rethinking, just like you have. I think their thought process into the reward side of it is changing rapidly, because the key to economies has not been found yet. There's been dozens of different companies and different individuals who have come out with game economics, and it might even look good for a short time, but then it implodes on itself shortly thereafter.
Well,
you're always going to have extractors.
Remember that reward mentality is something that has been aggressively pursued by the SEC. And this is, people are acting all disappointed and angry at Gala Games. And I think for some part, good reason, because they're not delivering on what they're saying. But for another part, Gala Games has no ability to affect the SEC. The SEC and the government are going pretty hard after crypto and digital assets. So if it were okay to buy a digital asset and earn on it, and it would be easy to do so, Gala Games would be through the roof. You'd be happy, I'd be happy, we'd all be happy. You're not happy because they're not able or willing to take the risk of providing digital assets that give you earning capability. That's what you're mad about.
No, nobody's.
Yes.
Well, I'm not mad, but the point is,
they have to.
Yeah, that begs the question of, and brings the morals and ethics back into it, because people spent a lot of money for the sole reason that they expected to be able to earn. And if they can't deliver on that, the moral and ethical thing to do is make them whole, one way or another.
So there's two problems here. One, I'm just talking about the concept of them doing games on the blockchain, and then there's the stuff that they promised. Gala has been a bit creative with how it said things to you, but I think it's made a lot of mistakes and it's been very messy. This guy here says Gala doesn't want to pay out their customers, only snoop and make movies. Yeah, I think if there's money on the table, Eric wants to take it. Now, if you think about this, if you go and buy like Fortnite skins or something like that, what are you getting for that? You're paying money to them, and then they're keeping the money. That's it. Gala is kind of doing that same thing, but you own the NFT. And is that better than what you had at Fortnite? Slightly, because you can transfer that NFT to somebody else, and then they can have it, and they could get it for free, or they could buy it from you. Whatever. You still have the ability to sell that asset. You don't have the ability to earn. So of course you're getting mad because you're doing something similar to Fortnite, where you're buying something and you're getting just that functionality. And maybe if you got something that was really rare, somebody might pay you a lot of money for it. But what's weird about that is Gala gets money on all the sales too, of the transfers of those things. Well, not all the sales on like OpenSea and stuff. So if you just want to do it like under the table, they're not going to get money for it. So that kind of sucks. So I think if they didn't make money on the second party sales, the secondary market sales, they'd be fine. That's what people are mad about.
I just noticed we have Glitch back in the house. Hey, Glitch.
Yeah, what's Glitch been?
He's been working hard. I know that. I think I've only caught up with him once in the last few months. He's been working hard. So happy having day, Glitch. So we've talked about the blockchain side of it, and we're pushing on an hour. What about the node side of it? Would the nodes, do these nodes factor into blockchain gaming? What does it do to improve what you talked about earlier with the problems of blockchain gaming?
Well, are you talking about the concept of nodes or Gala's nodes or the
No, I don't want to talk about Gala anymore. I opened the Pandora's box and I regret it already. So just nodes in general. Let's say Faz decides he's going to sell bug nodes to help him develop the Flappy Bug game, and the game is going to run on nodes. What's the advantage of having, what is the reason or the advantage that you gain by having a node versus just writing directly to the blockchain from a server?
So a node basically gives you CPU power from someone else's machine besides your own. So
Which does what?
Which gives you CPU power that you can use in any way that you deem fit. You can use it to run the game. You can use it to make things for the game. You can use it to mint money for your game if you decided, just whatever. So it's now if you put a game on a web server, which if I put this ZipBug's Flappy Bug out, I'd probably put it on a standard server, like Microsoft Azure server, or Google server, or AWS or something like that, because it needs to run somewhere. A node would make it so that I could say anybody who has a node, it can use their machines to run on instead of AWS. So great, it gives me a resource to do things on.
So it saves you money.
It's going to save me money. Now, it's kind of weird because I would think that, if I want to deploy my stuff on nodes right now, if I'm going to use AWS, I have to pay AWS for their time and effort. Gala Games seems to have done it a different way, to where you buy the nodes from them and then you get money for doing hosting or something.
Right, but my point is what makes a node more advantageous than an AWS server?
Theoretically, it's distributed, meaning if everybody's running a node from their household, then some servers could go down, and the nodes, it's a fault tolerant kind of web server system. But you need to use it properly. You need to write code that could jump between them and have them fail over to each other and stuff like that. That's a lot of work.
So how does it help the players who are playing the game?
Well, if I had you running a ZipBug node, I could say, okay, if you're playing the ZipBug game, you don't need to go out to another computer. It can just run on your computer. And then when you're not using it, you can host games for someone else. So you can then get some money for doing that work. You're helping me, so I might as well give you a share of the profits. You just run my game, you'll get half of whatever I earn.
So it's primarily then for the developer to save money, and it provides just more CPU power to run the game instead of paying AWS for it.
Primarily,
I'm asking. I'm trying to figure this out.
Concept. It's a slightly different concept than AWS. AWS is they're hosting a bunch of servers, and you just rent space on one, and then you use it.
Right, but I'm saying it serves no other purpose other than to save the developer money, right?
It would be making you money if you're running the node. So that would be another purpose.
But where does that money come from?
Where does the money come from that you're saving? It would come from an ecosystem that is built around the node.
If I'm being paid for my node rewards for hosting Flappy Bird, where do those rewards come from?
It would come from an ecosystem surrounding the nodes. You might want to have people paying for playing the game, and then you get a cut of that, or whatever. However they want to set up the ecosystem.
So you would take you're selling your bugs for 1 Matic, right? And you decide to throw that into the pot for people who are running nodes, and those rewards would, you put half a Matic into your pocket for the development, and the other half would go to the node pool, and that would be paid out to everybody running nodes.
But
so from
you could say percentage of who you could say whoever hosts the most. Yeah, I mean, if just by percentage of who has the best uptime would get the most of that pool.
So from a technical standpoint, it would make zero difference if it was AWS or nodes. But from a financial standpoint, that's where the nodes make sense.
I hear you fishing for an answer, and I'm saying it's a slightly different system
I'm trying.
than AWS.
Well, I'm trying to understand the purpose of having nodes out there as an advantage over just putting it on AWS.
The purpose would be to not have a big company like AWS determining the price of things. It would be you having a little bit more control over how you deploy your application, and at the same time, being able to give the players some sort of kickback from basically the players would be able to help out and make money, make passive income by doing that.
So why not just hand out rewards when it's on an AWS server?
You could, but you wouldn't be getting any money. You get rewards for playing the game. You wouldn't get rewards for using your CPU power because you're not donating any.
Okay.
That's the point. Is AWS has a lot of computers, a lot of servers out there hosting all these things. Well, if you have a bunch of nodes out there, then you have a whole bunch of computers at your beck and call to provide processing power for the game. So it's an alternative to AWS's, centralized way of doing things. Now,
okay, here's a good one. This explains it a little better. So it allows the game to be played if the developer runs out of money, goes out of business, anything else. That's where you would see a technical advantage from the node side, because as long as somebody was running that node through their home computer or whatever, even if the company went away, that could survive then, right?
Yeah. So if I had my ZipBug game out and after the fifth version of the game, I decided to be done with it, whoever had nodes with the fifth version installed on it, or whoever had nodes could install that version on it, and everybody could still play the game. Now, the thing is, that would be as if I allowed people to install games on their nodes, because right now the way that Gala does their nodes is everything's out of your control. I would think that you would have a node that you could choose to host whatever you want. But if you did that, then I couldn't guarantee that you would be running my games or which games of mine that you'd be running. That would suck, because then I couldn't count on a certain level of CPU power out there.
So here's my last thing that I want to say on this, because I've really been trying lately to understand more about this node thing. Wouldn't it make more sense, okay, to have a generic node? And again, I don't want to hear about the technicalities of it. Some piece of generic node software that's made where I can go to Faz and I can say, I'll do Flappy Bugs. I'll host that on here. And I go to Gala and I say, I'll host part of your Common Ground world on there. And I go to Star Atlas and say, I'll host Star Atlas on this as well. I have, 10 gigs of storage space. I have, 73 processors. I have all this, and obviously whatever you can run, and rent out my node space that way. Wouldn't that make more sense than having an individual node per game or per ecosystem?
Yeah, but that's a very, very mature part of that concept. I mean, nodes have to catch on first. People have to start using them. Then you need to have like node aggregators out there who could homogenize all that stuff and then provide you with a node that could run a lot of different games.
Well, but that's what you're pushing for, and that's where my thoughts went on all this, because I decompressed after that conversation that we had, and I thought about that, and I said, you've been pushing and pushing and pushing, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but for standardization of everything, right? You have C#. Everybody uses the same C#, but they do variations of it. It's a common base unit. So why wouldn't you want to do that with nodes, right? Have a common base node software that encourages other developers to develop towards that generic node software. And then that way the developer gets what they want because they have people who can host it. They have more people that they can go to because it's not a game specific or platform specific node. That's because it brought me back to the HoloChain. That's what HoloChain is kind of looking for.
Well, HoloChain is saying if you use our blockchain and stuff, then you can do these things. It's not trying to be a standard over other node types.
No, right. But I'm saying it's the general thing. They use Rust, right? They do Rust for their node building, and they use the coding there. But have it even more general, and just have a node standard that developers can develop towards that, so it runs on all these nodes. I think people would be more encouraged to run the nodes, to host on the nodes, because they'd get the rewards from the developers, but they could choose. And if there's a bad actor out there, or there's somebody that they don't agree with what they're doing, they don't have to host it there. Or if they want to move around, they can do
You're talking about a very mature concept. First, for that to even come about, nodes have to catch on. Once they catch on, then you can have somebody who will then start asserting that a standard. And actually, NerdNode is in a good position to be able to assert a standard like that. If they can run, because I believe they can run all the different Gala nodes and some other nodes. Can't they run Bull nodes and stuff too, or plan to? So NerdNode would be the best positioned to do something like that. And they're in business right now. So that's if nodes catch on. If they get shut down by the SEC, then this is the bleeding edge of technology here. I'll say financial and asset technology. That stuff's got to all hash itself out for that kind of thing you're asking for. Well, yeah, it's the nodes have to get out there. First of all, we don't know of a lot of different people who have nodes right now. We do know about Ethereum nodes, and I know Bitcoin has nodes and stuff like that, but that's still kind of in the minority. When what you're talking about is in the distant future, which could be 5 years as far as technology goes, everybody will have a node as part of their operating system. And when their computer isn't doing anything, it has nodes doing work. Great. People are going to start fighting for your CPU power. You want to use our nodes, not their nodes. They're going to say, you don't need to pay for the nodes. We'll just pay you. And so the fact that Gala Games is having you pay for nodes, that's the very beginning. But after a while, all the nodes are going to, in my opinion, if that is the case, all the nodes are going to be free. Or like you said, they're going to be a component of a larger standardized node system. And NerdNode and might be one of many node aggregators. And then they would duke it out. They'd call them the node wars, just like we had the burger wars.
Node wars. No, that's what I would like to see.
But we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
That would push it much farther into the realm of decentralization as well.
I would say you can't even do that right now because there's not enough. There's not any like major player right now. It's all kind of the Wild West.
People haven't gotten that far yet. It's okay, but this is what my mind was going on after our discussion yesterday. Well,
this loose gaming would be NerdNode, in my opinion. Let's pop that thing up right there. NerdNode. NerdNode, I would say, is well set to do something like that if things go their way. I know that they have a lot of plans to do more node-related things in the future, so stay tuned. Hopefully, they'd be going that direction, and if they're not, they should be.
Cool. What else you got? We're at an hour 10.
I don't got anything. I'm done with my stuff. Let's see. Node workloads. Didn't you say? Oh, we talked about all the node workloads being deleted. Yeah, that was Dave Louie. You made it sound like it was everything. It was like all nodes were being turned off or something.
Yeah, that tweet had us talking about it earlier, Dave.
All
Glitch
right.
is saying turn it into an ADA channel. I don't think so. ADA's having all kinds of drama lately.
What's
I got to
ADA?
catch up on that.
I mean,
Cardano.
AMA channel? What's an ADA channel?
I don't know. I thought he was talking about Cardano. Quick blockchain.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I've said my piece tonight. I wanted to really dig into that problem because it really helped me understand some of the problems that go on with developing blockchain games. That talk was fantastic yesterday, so I wanted to make sure we shared that.
Well,
I did want to dig into the nodes. I got to dig into the nodes with you about that and maybe get people's minds stimulated on that track. We got your new game shown out there, so now the pressure's on. Faz made all kinds of promises that I'll release later.
all kinds of promises. No, the only promise I made is I'm going to make a game and say when it'd be finished. I did hedge and say that if I got a job, things are going to go a lot slower. But I need something to do in the meantime, and so this is a perfect use of my time, and I can get experience with Unity, and eventually we'll get a game out there. But I hope
Sky's
that
the
this
limit.
Flappy Bug is coming out very soon.
Very
I want
cool.
to keep the features down to a minimum, and
Right.
we need to deploy that, Mr. Webmaster, because you're the webmaster, and we have a zipbugs.com.
Yes. Oh my God. So don't turn this into a nightmare for me. We just got your settings done yesterday. I haven't even had a chance
Hey,
to load WordPress yet.
I just started making the game yesterday, so I don't know how long this will take. I've never done this before, so we'll see.
But we've got it sorted. So fazradio.com will be back up very shortly, as well as zipbugs.com, not only for the game, but for ZipBugs itself. So I'll be chipping away at that over the next couple of weeks. I will have something out. I'll let you know on Faz Radio when those sites are fully navigatable.
Well, I would certainly like to have a ZipBug game up by then, and it's going to be feature minimum at first, and then I believe in releasing early and often. So feature minimum, people play it, they get really frustrated and annoyed by it because Flappy Bird's a really annoying game, and then keep going from there. And I'm not making any money off it right now because I'm just practicing.
Yeah, so when Faz is ready to actually get this game in people's spacebar hands, even if I'm not done with the site at that point, I'll make a back end page where people can access it and toy with it.
There you go.
So we can make that work.
All right, sir. Well, let's get out of here. I need to eat some dinner, and you need to go to bed.
Awesome. Thank you all. Yeah, I got early volleyball with my daughter tomorrow. I'm coaching tomorrow. The head coach is out of town, so I get to run the show, and this will be fun.
All right. And on that note,